Good afternoon, Muttonistas. It's mid-February and the Champions League is back. And usually at this stage of the draw, where you normally get teams from Italy, Spain, France, Germany, Portugal, this year we've got a Danish team. And it's the team we faced in the group stage last year, FC Copenhagen. Now last time round we drew 0-0 away after we had a man sent off, but managed a comfortable 5-0 win at home. I have a feeling it might be a little more difficult this season. They've knocked Manchester United out, and I think they've improved. Let's find out if it's going to be a tough task for City. Will they get knocked out even? I think we'll get through comfortably. Join me for the vlog. Yes, there's going to be quite an interesting food segment today, but before we do that, a little aperitif. A lot of people pointed out to me, or recommended to me, Kennedy's Irish Bar for the best Guinness in Copenhagen, including a friend of mine, Paddy, from Dublin, who knows what he's talking about. So, given I had quite a decent pint at the Shamrock last night, I'm expecting great things here. And I have to say, it's very difficult to film here. Narrow pavement and a massive cycling lane, so I can't even stick my arm out. They take their cycling pretty seriously here. Right, Muttonistas, settle inside Kennedy's Irish, and a number of people have told me this is the holy grail of Guinness in Copenhagen. I'm going to be the judge of that, but before I have a little sip, what I would say is that this pub is quite good if you actually want to watch a football match. The owner, or the manager, I think he's the owner, was very, very hospitable, took a few photos for me and my gathered friends, but the most important thing in here really is how this tastes. It's pretty good, and there are some boys from Manchester at the next table who are drinking it into form. I do, of course, have a food segment coming up. This is merely an aperitif, shall we call it an Irish aperitif, and I'm reasonably confident about the game. I'll talk a bit more about the football later, but I think City have hit a rich vein of form. Yes, Copenhagen are clearly better than they were the year before. They gave Bayern Munich a run for their money in both games, and most importantly, they knocked out Manchester United. What a shame. Anyway, I think we'll just have too much for them. Kevin De Bruyne has come back as if he's not even suffered an injury. He's playing that well. Haaland, 2 goals against Everton at the weekend. If those two connect, I'm sure we're going to score a couple here. And even though we've often drawn away games in Europe in the knockout stages, I think we'll be able to deal with them comfortably at the Etihad. I think we're going to get a 2-1 win today. I may be wrong because we've drawn, I think, all of our recent away ties in the knockout stages of the Champions League, but I just think we're hitting the groove now. Anyway, the Guinness is drinking well here. I can pronounce myself match fit. Come on, City. Right, Muttonistas, it is food time. Spent a little longer in Kennedy's than I'd intended, but a few Muttonistas approached me, and I'm always very approachable. Do always come and say hello or join me for a beer if you see me. Anyway, The theme of this restaurant is something I have not had for about 30 years. It's American barbecue. Okay, not trad Danish, but if you remember when we drew 0-0 in the group stage last season, I took you all to a trad Danish. So I'm keen to try this, especially because it's also a micro brew pub. And a lot of Danish muttonistas have told me great things about this place. Okay, muttonistas, settled inside Warpigs. This is in an area of Copenhagen called the meatpacking district. I know for some native English speakers there's a bit of fana and a double entendre. It's a little bit post-industrial, a bit like the Northern Quarter in Manchester. The procedure here is if you want something to eat, you wander up to the kitchen, pay for it after you've been loaded with stuff on your tray, and then you go to the bar and order. A word of warning, some of the beers, very interesting but very strong as well, like the Nitro Stout, which I'm going to try after this, and only one of them is 7.7%. I've just gone for the Session IPA, and even that is 4.9%.
Leipzig, Munich, Istanbul.
So it has been about 30 years since I last had this style of food. I had it in Phoenix, Arizona, but this actually is very popular with local people, particularly football supporters, and I think it does make a great pre-match meal. I don't think the meat itself, even though heavily marinated, is that spicy, so they have a lot of sauces, and if you like spice, this Texas one is the one to go for. Anyway, let's give it a whirl, starting with the sausage.
Okay, well done.
So the sausage is very lightly smoked. I've actually got into these German and Polish sausages, which are very heavily smoked. So whilst this is pleasant, I prefer smokier. And the sauce does have a bit of bite. Anyway, time for the pulled pork. Now, I was warned that the pulled pork might be a bit dry, but I saw him get a fresh slab out, so I've got every confidence in this. That is lovely. Crispy on the outside, well marinated. Yes, there will be a little bit of sweetness in the marinade, but when that hot sauce is added, what a great contrast of flavours. So soft, smoky, juicy and tender with a lovely barbecue marinade. Now, on to the brisket, which is supposed to be the star of the show, so we'd better have a quick slurp first. And oh my goodness, that was so tender and juicy when I put my knife into that. That is the star of the show. But to be honest, I recommend if you come here that you just take the mixed grill with mac and cheese and coleslaw. The coleslaw is just like standard coleslaw, nothing to report here. And finally, the Szechuan chicken wings. They're supposed to be the hottest thing on the menu. It had 2 chilies by it, but 2 chilies by an item means different things in different places.
Really, I think he's got the camera point here. Trolloping down here. Oh, that dickhead.
I think that's a blue cheese dip. It always comes with celery, I don't know why, but we've got the celery removal squad in to sort that out. Anyway, as for the wing itself, what a doubting Thomas I am. 2 chilies does mean hot, very spicy, right up my street. Anyway, I'm going to get on with this Muttonistas, and I'll see you for some football chat when I'm done and move on to that very strong Nitro Stout. Given Warpigs is a microbrewery as well as a barbecue restaurant, it would be remiss of me not to bring you a stout review. It's a Nitro Stout called You F Me Up, and in Furious, rather odd name, and I'm only going to have one of these because it's 7%. It's supposed to have quite a strong coffee flavour, which I like, which makes it more of an English stout, but is Danish stout up to the mark? Yeah, that is lovely. That is really good. That is so smooth. I'd love that. I'd happily order this if this were on at my local. I mean, this is probably the best stout I've had in Denmark. Just a pity it's so strong, because if I stay on this, I won't be able to see the ball at the match tonight. So, Muttonistas, that stout has cooled my mouth down after those viciously hot, spicy wings. Unfortunately, the metro is not working today, so I'm either going to have to take a train and then walk a mile or so, or I'm going to have to tear a hole in my wallet and get a taxi, probably the latter. As for the game itself, I think the key is how they manage Kevin De Bruyne, sit back off him, give them space, and I think he'll work his magic. If they're tight on him and they stop him from turning, then maybe they can stop him. I don't think this will be an easy match for City because Copenhagen are playing well. But it has to be said, I think their league is still on a winter break and they've been playing in some Nordic friendly or something to keep themselves fit, so that might work against them. Anyway, over the two legs, I can't see City not going through. Okay, if it doesn't happen, some of you will lord it over me, but I'm pretty confident in my prediction of City going through. And even though last season we drew all our away games and won all our home ones, I think we'll get a 2-1 win here. Okay, Muttonistas, I am at the station now. Had a little microphone problem, so you might not get my reactions in the stadium. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, for those of you who say, Mutton, you need to invest in a quality microphone, I've literally spent thousands on microphones. The set I've got at the moment is as good as it gets, and I don't know why the receiver has clapped out. Probably tomorrow it'll be working again. Anyway, the City team is out. In fact, both teams, of course, are out. I'm not going to spend any time on the Copenhagen team because I don't follow Danish football. But in terms of City, we have Edison, Diaz, Ake, Walker, and importantly, Johnny Stones. In midfield, Rodri, the ever dependable Rodri. Bernardo Silva comes in, as does Kevin De Bruyne, although he came on Saturday and made an impact from the bench. And up front, we have Foden, we have Jack Grealish, and of course, Erling Haaland. Anyway, I'm going to get on with this, get a cab to the station. Probably cost me 50 notes in this country, but what can you do? Now, if I remember correctly, you could get alcoholic beer in the ground and I think take it to your seats. I don't remember actually buying one last time, so I'm taking no chances of having one outside the stadium. Tuborg inside the little bar, Carlsberg outside. Prefer Tuborg, but they have heavy music being played inside. But I got one out from there anyway, even if I'm not supposed to bring it out. And for your information, I took a taxi from the station. It was about 25 quid. A lot better than I thought it was. I don't know if Uber operates here or not. I couldn't get anything on Uber. Maybe it's something they do, as they do in many continental cities, to protect local taxi drivers. Well, yes, they do serve alcoholic beer in here. It's Carlsberg, 4.6%. Not my favourite, but you can take it to your seat, which is wonderful. Unheard of in Britain. The view is so appalling from here. The goal and the back of the crossbar's in the way, so I can't see everything that goes on the left at the other side, and probably you won't when the video comes out. You don't need me to tell you who that's down to. He might have got away with it, but he didn't. Not very good. 1-1. Okay, I've miraculously caught a quiet moment with no music and the crowd quiet at this end, at the other end, because they're all getting their beer at half time. And it's 2-1 to City, and we should have been out of sight there. Totally controlled the game. They had the odd foray going forward, but I have to say, Ederson, well, he's supposed to be aggressive. He was aggressive, too sloppy there. And I saw earlier Rodri had a go at him for another very risky pass. Anyway, all's good at half time. 2-1. I can't see what's going on at the other end very well, but thankfully I'm at the end where City are attacking for the second half, and hopefully there'll be lots of goals at this end.
Winner, boys in blue. Whoa! Coming after you.
Okay, Muttonistas, unfortunately the bar where I did my post-match review whacked the music volume up whilst I was filming. Don't know if it was intentional or not, but as a result I can't use the footage. Sorry about that. But anyway, it was a great display by City, apart from that Edison blunder. And let's not forget, Guardiola wants him to pass aggressively, just to pass it a bit better. I can't find fault really in anybody. This will happen occasionally with the keeper, given the way City play. Anyway, that's 1 foot in the quarterfinals. I'm pretty confident we're going to get through after that. My next football vlog will be Chelsea at home, and then unfortunately there'll be a bit of a drought after that, probably until after Easter. Could well be the first leg of the quarterfinals. But until then, I'll be bringing you beer reviews, and maybe whilst I'm away in China of all places, I'll bring you a food video or two as well. But until then, remember to keep liking, very important, because it moves my videos up the algorithm and allows viewers like yourselves who found me in whichever way they did on YouTube to find me as well. Keep subscribing and keep sharing. Tell your friends all about me. And most of all, Muttonistas, don't forget, you can't beat a bit of mutton.